Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Comic-Cons, my thoughts and my opinions. Now, I actually didn't go to Comic-Con. I don't have $1,000 and somewhat dollars to drop. But I have been watching the news religiously and following everything that can be done with Comic-Con on three particular websites: Comic-Con, Newsarama, and IGN. I've also been listening to the DC podcast for the panels, and I must say a thank you to VSX Fedora because he's been posting them up on his page. So knowing that the podcasts were available, it prompted me to go to DC.com. So thank you, man. I wouldn't have even known that the podcasts were available if you didn't put them on your channel. So I listened to almost all the podcasts. There were one or two that I didn't listen to, and right now, I guess I'll just talk about my opinions about what I thought and how I feel about what's going on with the Comic-Con, and mostly with how it reflects on the DC New 52 and its relaunch. When it comes down to exclusives and figures and all that stuff, from what I saw, I was kind of underwhelmed with a few things. DC didn't deliver quite as much with its new figures, especially the DC Universe Classics. I heard a rumor that it's actually going to be stopping that toy line, which is quite a shocker because I thought it was actually doing very good. But if it is stopping, then that's a damn shame. However, I really didn't feel too overwhelmed or impressed by anything that was shown for any of the figures. The only things that myself and my girlfriend, who was watching some of the videos with me, were wild about were the Hot Toy figures, which always look fantastic. And some of the statues that they had out, which looked really good. And then I was actually my fancy was tickled by something utterly random. The Dragon Ball Z figures. It's funny. My history with Dragon Ball Z is this. I was never really a big fan of the show, but I seen like every episode because my friend watched the show religiously, so I kind of just milked off him. And it just somehow recently I've been really kind of looking back on the show and enjoying it, and maybe it's for nostalgia, maybe it's just for the fact that I'm experiencing it through more adult eyes, but I'm in like a Dragon Ball Z phase. I don't understand it. But I actually saw the figures. I'm like, damn, those look pretty damn cool. But besides that, I wasn't too impressed by the toys. When it comes down to it, the panels, the podcasts I listen to on DC.com, which you can go there and just click the Comic-Con page and you'll be able to listen to all the panels. I was actually very happy and very pleased with how much they've told in the panels. A lot of the stuff that they told was stuff that I already knew from my comic guide, but a few things I didn't know. For example, the new Teen Titans history is still canon. And you're probably wondering, how does that happen if Cyborg was on the Justice League? Well, apparently Cyborg's going to be on the Justice League for a bit and then leave, and that's when the new Teen Titans happens. Pretty interesting. It's retconning his history a bit, but, they really tell you that they're condensing the timeline down a lot. Superman's death of Superman still happened, and, all the stuff in the DC universe kind of still happens. Superboy's history still happens up till when he joins the Teen Titans. So it's kind of interesting in that fact. But I was happy on how candid they were, or as candid as they could be with their information. I was also happy. I don't know if happy, but I was mesmerized. I was seduced by several people. There are a few comics that I'm gonna now pick up that I weren't gonna pick up. For example, Scott Snyder, he's just a fantastic writer. I'm picking up his Batman stuff, and the way he talked about Swamp Thing, I had no interest in picking up the comic, but the way he talked about it, he seduced me into reading that comic. So now I'm going to be reading Swamp Thing. And I'm also going to give Batwing a chance, because I'm going to make a personal vow to you guys out there. Is by hook or crook, I will pick up everything in the Batman family. Whether it's, Batwing to Commissioner Gordon, Batman to Ace the Bat Hound, #1. I will pick up anything Batman. But for the most part, I was happy with what DC told us. It was insightful, it was interesting. And for people that didn't have enough information about this relaunch, they can go there. And it's getting me more and more excited. I can't tell you how excited I am. And it's kind of interesting thinking about my progression on this, my thoughts and progression of my thoughts on this DC relaunch from when it really first happened. At first, I was very scared, very upset, kind of depressed. Then I started to warm up. Then I was like, okay, well, this isn't so bad. It kind of has to happen. Now I'm like, holy shit, I am freaking excited for this. And I am. I'm really excited for this relaunch. This is, I think, good for the company. I think it's good for the fans. And I think this is going to be a smart thing to do. A lot of my friends are getting into DC Comics now because it's more regularly accessible, and they're starting at #1, which is good. My girlfriend even said she would read some comics. She wouldn't buy them, but she would mooch off my comics. And she made odd picks, like The Flash. When has she ever had any interest in The Flash baffles me. The only interest my girlfriend has ever shown into superheroes are Superman, Supergirl, and occasionally Batman. Oh, and Green Lantern. But she's like, oh, I'll read The Flash and Justice League, and maybe I'll read Catwoman. And she'd say, I'm like, where is this coming from? But on the whole, I'm pretty happy with the information that they gave us. I couldn't help but smile and then shake my head with some of the questions that were given. And God bless, Dan Didio and Grant Morrison with the answers, because they were absolutely hilarious. One of the most asked questions is, where's Wally West? And they just got pounded with that. Where is Wally West? Where is Wally West? I thought that was hilarious how much they tried to dodge that bullet. But there was one woman in particular that kept on coming up asking about females and diversity in comics, and she kept on getting the same answer. And the thing that baffles me is she says, why isn't there more females or strong female characters in DC Comics? You're talking about diversity, but there's not that many strong female characters in the 52. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Wonder Woman, Batgirl, Supergirl, Voodoo, Birds of Prey, a whole team of females. Catwoman, Batwoman, just to name a few. What's that, 8 or 9? I don't know, count that for me. You can count Birds of Prey as 4 people, because that's a whole female team. I find DC to be a lot more diverse with their female characters and a lot more prominent with their female comics than Marvel. However, on the flip side, Marvel has better team-ups. Just in general. So I think DC has great amount of female characters, and they're probably just going to keep on adding them. We're going to have to see. But Dan Didio goes off the list. I think there's like 11 female characters in the thing, and it's there you go. And then she kept on saying, well, Grant Morrison was hilarious with this. She kept on saying, well, what about a female writer? There's not enough female writers in comics. And Dan Didio's like, you know what we're looking for? We're not looking for male writers. We're not looking for female writers. We're looking for good writers. And then she kept on talking, blah, blah, blah. And finally, Grant Morrison said, you know what? If you're a female writer and you want to be part of DC Comics, send your work in. If it's good, we'll hire you. And it was just like, shut down. And it was annoying. Another thing that kind of perplexed me is a lot of people saying that DC's doing this diversity movement, but it's all with African-American characters. I don't believe that, because there's been many instances on the panel that they talk about Korean characters, like Ray Chow is going to be in the Justice League, but a few Korean characters. They talked about some Hispanic characters. I think DC is doing a good job with this diversity, not only in race and ethnicity, but also in sexual orientation and in gender. And I liked what Jim Lee said in that, it's something important to us, but it's not the driving force behind what we do. We want to deliver good stories. We don't want to set a mandate where we have to have X amount of people in this ethnicity or X amount of people in this the sexual orientation, or X amount of people that are female or male. We want to be diverse, but we want to make sure our comics are good. So it's important to us, but it's not the absolute driving force, which I think is a very good answer to give. So on the whole, I thought the panels were good. I thought the answers were good, and I like how DC kind of sits down and they interact with the people, and they ask questions instead of dropping big bombs. They're kind of saying, if you want to see the big stuff, it's happening in September. How about we answer your questions now? Which I thought was a good approach for this panel. But on a whole, I enjoyed the panels more than anything for DC Comics or for Comic Con in general. I didn't really care for any of the figure stuff that they showed or anything else for that matter. I haven't found any other panels. I kind of wanted to see if there was a Joss Whedon or a Buffy Season 9 or Angel and Faith panel, but I couldn't find anything. Obviously, it's not going to be on DC.com, but I can't find anything in general. So if you know if there's a podcast out there for anything Joss Whedon, Buffy, or Angel, please let me know. I would be happy to see it. So that's just my basic run through and thoughts on the DC podcast, panels, and Comic Con in general. It's a damn shame I can't go. One of these days I'm gonna go. One of these years I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm graduating college soon. Probably gonna get engaged and start my life and all that. Once I have enough money, I'll go to Comic Con. But that's not for at least another 2 years ish. But we'll see. We'll see. But if you want to watch the podcast, just go to DC.com. I recommend it. I recommend you watch them or listen to them. Put them on in the background when you're doing something. I think it's great that they put them up. And again, thanks to VSX Fedora for posting that stuff because I wouldn't have known about it otherwise. Kudos to you, man. Good for you, mate. I'm not English, but okay. Anyways, with that said, I'm going to end this video here. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.